podcasting from Innovation Works in downtown London, Ontario, home of the London Knights, the White Rhino, and a million trees. I'm Chelsey, and I'm your host for Mind Your Mind's inaugural podcasting season. Hello and welcome to Mind Your Mind's podcast series. In this episode, we'll be talking to Canadian hard rock band Our Lady Peace. Our Lady Peace has been around since 1992, and they have released 8 studio albums in that time. They have toured across the world and are wildly successful in the music industry. They have sold over 5 million albums worldwide, won 4 Juno Awards, and 10 Much Music Video Awards. That's the most MMVAs that any single artist or band has ever won. Mind Your Mind got the opportunity to interview lead guitarist Steve back in 2011. Since then, there have been some developments with the band. In 2012, they released their album Curves, and in 2014, drummer Jeremy Taggart left the band. They are releasing a new album later this year, which has been described as a step aside from their well-known genre hard rock and into a more melodic rock and roll sound, which has been described as experimental. In this episode, Mind Your Mind volunteer Diana got to talk with Steve about what inspires him and the band, how they deal with stress, and what gives him hope. Let's listen in on what he has to say.
Hi, I'm Diana, and I'm here with Steve from Our Lady Peace.
Hello.
How are you, Steve?
I'm great. Excellent today.
We're here at Rock the Park in London, Ontario.
Yes, love it. Love London, and it's a great festival vibe today.
And very hot. Very
hot.
The
sun is not out, but if it was, we'd all be piles of some kind of liquid, I think.
I already am.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So you guys have been around since the 90s. When I think of Our Lady Peace, I think Soundgarden, Smashing Pumpkins, Pearl Jam, all those amazing bands that surfaced during that time. What was it like coming up with all those bands, and was there one maybe that was a favorite of yours to perform with or tour with?
Well, I hate to be this guy, but I joined the band in 2002.
Okay.
So, but I was a fan of Our Lady Peace before I was in the band, and I loved a lot of those bands that they played with back then. And but even since I've joined, we've gotten to play with a lot of people that I really admire. You know, I'm a huge Stones fan. We got to play with them.
Nice.
Tons of bands on festivals and stuff, and it's crazy. It's ridiculous when you get to play with people and meet people. Like we're playing with the Stone Temple Pilots today, and I grew up, loving that band, and we've played with them before, and you get to know them and talk to them, and it's an honor to be sharing a stage with those same people. But it's pretty cool when you get to actually see someone as peers, because it sort of takes away a certain thing, and I feel like it allows you to learn from them in a way that you wouldn't normally if you didn't actually get to meet them and everything and pick their brains about stuff. Yeah.
Amazing. Now Ray Maida isn't here with us, but he started busking in 2007, Busking for Change, and he spent 12 hours on the streets of Toronto, starting out doing that to raise money for War Child. War Child. Did you guys ever busk, or did you ever busk before touring or starting to make records?
Well, we as a band did the War Child thing, I think the year after him. We went out and did that as well, and it was a great experience.
You did busking?
We did for War Child, after he sort of pioneered it by going out on his own to see how it would work. It's funny, the first year was he and just a few other people. The next year we did it with him, and there were tons and tons of people doing it, which is great because then the word spread and people came out and gave a lot of money, and it's a great way to make money for the charity, because you really are doing something. You're not up on a big stage like looking down at people, you're right there with them, and it's a great charity. There are some charities that just go and dump big piles of money and food on people, but War Child is really a very important charity to me because it kind of gets to the heart of the problem. It's trying to keep kids youthful and kids, and it's trying to educate, build better education for them and stuff. And to me, that's sort of like the way we're going to get out of problems in the world, rather than, people need to eat too, but I like War Child's direction and their philosophy.
You guys are pretty passionate about that.
Definitely, yeah, because it's a great charity. And why not? We have an opportunity to show up, for an afternoon around the city, for example, the busking thing, and you can raise thousands of dollars. It's like, that's to be able
amazing.
to make, it's great. We'd we'd be pretty small people not to take advantage of that, I think.
Yeah. So did you busk before being with a record label or anything like that?
Sorry, that's what maybe you were
Like,
asking.
when you were younger, did you used to do anything like that?
Not really, no. I grew up just playing with friends in bands in my garage, and then
Okay.
eventually playing in bars. Myself, I grew up in kind of a small town outside of Detroit, so it wasn't kind of like being in Toronto where you could go busk and that kind
Okay.
of thing. So no, that was my first experience actually doing the War Child thing.
All right. So what inspires you as musicians and as people?
I mean, I think for us, luckily, what's nice about being in the band, myself and the four of us are alike in that I feel very glad and lucky for us that none of us got into playing music to be famous. We all kind of got bit by this music bug when we were young. And I know because myself and from knowing the guys, it's all the same thing. You know, we all got bit by that bug when we were like 11 or 12 years old, you know, listening to music and then getting a guitar and learning to play. And it's interesting how that same, like, I hope this doesn't like deflate people's ideas of getting to play big shows or whatever. It's amazing. And that feeling of being in your room and learning how to play a song from a band you love, that sort of initial feeling like never goes away. And that to me is still some of the greatest part about being a musician. And so for us, that honestly, that's what keeps me inspired. When we're not touring, I still go down to my studio and I'm practicing, you know, trying to learn how, you know, learning a Queen song, trying to learn how Brian May did this or that, like I was doing when I was 12. And it still keeps me going, and all the other guys are the same, so that when we get together and we're writing and recording, everybody's got new ideas. Hey, check out this thing I came up with. Check out I came up with this thing, and that's how we kind of all keep each other inspired. And it's great though. I feel like if I was with some people that were only in it to be famous and weren't trying to better themselves as musicians and artists, it would get a little weary for me. But all of us, honestly, we're just passionate about music, and so we're always just trying to grow.
That's
and
awesome.
that inspires us individually, and that helps inspire each other too.
Awesome. Now, it's easy to lose sight of hope if you're going through a hard time. Mind Your Mind being a mental health website,
Yep.
We're wondering, what would you want to say to someone that's going through a hard time or maybe dealing with a mental illness?
You know, I mean, you and I were talking a minute ago before we started the cameras rolling. You know, I'm someone who personally has dealt with things like that and still do all the time. And I think the biggest thing for me is, you know, there can be a stigma, even more so maybe if you're a guy, I'm not sure, but
Absolutely.
Yeah, where people want to tell you, hey, you should be able to snap out of this, or you're lazy because you're sitting around and you have no energy and you can't see hope in things. And you know, there are certain times and certain people where there is something that's really different about you, where you have trouble going out every day and facing the world and seeing it the way a lot of other people do. And a lot of times it's as simple as just the way the chemicals in your brain are arranged, or it's stuff that you've been through or the way you've been raised. But the biggest thing I know for me, I have an amazing family, an amazing support system. My mom's a nurse, so she was kind of aware of a lot of things. And I've been lucky enough to have people show me that you don't have to stay in that spot, that there's things you can do, cognitive things, all kinds of things that can make you enjoy life more and have a better quality of life. And a lot of people don't know that. They think that where they are, that's just how it is. Maybe because their parents, I think a lot of it's genetic, and so they see that their parents maybe have carried on that way and have just turned to alcohol or whatever to try to make it through days and weeks. And it's just, there's so many ways out there. There's so many people you can talk to, programs you can get that just can give you a way better quality of life than just keeping on in that kind of way, or just drinking every day or something to get through it.
And what gives you hope? Is there something that you do to deal with stress?
I mean, it's, I know you hear it over and over again, but honest to God, like the way I feel on a day when I get up and work out and exercise is amazing compared to days that I don't. It's like all of a sudden it's 2 p.m, and I'm like, hey, I feel okay and stuff's good. And it's to me, if like I heard someone say, if you could bottle the benefits of exercise in a medication, that would be the best-selling supplement or whatever. And so that's a huge one for me, doing that. And I know personally for me, I have to watch it with like drinking too much alcohol and stuff, because that can really just the next day all of a sudden nothing's right in the world. It's like, oh, what did I do last night? Oh, I drank a lot of alcohol, and that might have something to do with it.
I think we can all relate to that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, that probably happens with everybody.
Yeah.
But as far as what gives me hope, I don't know. I just believe a lot in that, making the most of yourself as a person. Really at the end of the day and at the end of your life is what makes you happy. So I try to focus on that.
Awesome.
And I'm rambling on way too much. You're going to get through like half of your questions.
No, this is awesome. Is there one thing that people might not already know about Our Lady Peace that you would want them to know?
Might not know. That's a tough one. I don't know. We're all to a greater or less degree golf addicts, which people might not know, which might not be the most coolest rock and roll thing in the world. And we actually all like each other and get along, which is something, believe it or not, unfortunately a lot of bands don't. And I think it's hard to keep a band together. It's like a four-way marriage, but there's a great sort of push and pull in Our Lady Peace, and a mutual respect and a good blend of personalities, and that's why I think the band's been around this long, because it ain't easy keeping a band together.
Yeah, I bet.
A lot of dynamics.
Yeah. So do you have any words to live by?
Words to live by? Oh man.
Maybe a favorite quote or a favorite lyric, or...
I mean, I'm a huge Ayn Rand fan.
Ayn Rand?
Ayn Rand, I guess is how you really say her
Okay.
name. And I know the one thing, her basic thing is that, I'm going to butcher it, but something along the lines of, she sees man as the most supreme being, and that productive achievement is the man's most noble goal. And I think that really, I don't know, I really like that. It's like, I'm not particularly religious, and I just feel like, you're this person, you can really do anything, and that's what I try to live by. Like, I want to try to achieve the most I can. Yeah.
Well, that's all the questions I got for you today.
Oh, great. We actually
Thanks
got through
much. What's that?
You actually got through them with my
I
rambling.
got through them, yeah.
Wow, I'm surprised.
I'm glad you rambled. We like to hear what you have to say.
Cool.
So thanks for speaking with us
No,
today.
thank you, definitely. Good luck with the site.
Thank you.
All right.
Who would have thought that a hard rock band as world-renowned as Our Lady Peace would be a group full of golf fanatics? We had a great time interviewing Steve at Rock the Park. Thanks for listening to this episode of Mind Your Mind's podcast. If you like what you just heard and you found these tips helpful, don't forget to share and subscribe, and to visit our website, mindyourmind.ca. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The links are in the description below. And stay tuned for the next episode where we talk to bands like Fifi Dobson, the Sam Roberts Band, and Faber Drive about the greatest advice anyone has ever given them and words that they live by.